So we're leaving behind us the longest pier in the world, Southend Pier, originally constructed in 1835, but initially it was only 180 metres long. Today the pier is 1.34 miles long, and the reason for that is actually quite simple. Southend, being a small town that it was, relied on passengers coming down from London, paddling down to the coast using paddle steamers that used to leave places like the Tower of London and Westminster Pier. As these paddle steamers, carrying thousands of tourists, would pass by Southend, they would drop on this small pier to allow people to go ashore and bathe in the waters, perhaps spending a few days or a week here for their summer holidays. But the pier, being only 180 metres long, could only be accessed at high water. Other than that, the paddle steamers would just steam on by, making their way down to other towns like Herne Bay, Margate, Clacton, the River Blackwater. It was only when the council decided that they wanted to cash in on the thousands of tourists that couldn't reach them because they were just steaming straight on by at the low tide. They extended the pier time and time again, until eventually they reached that low water mark. To our left-hand side, whilst I know it looks like there's a load of water there, but we're actually following the low water mark. At tide, at the low water, all to our left-hand side is mud banks and shallow water. And this will continue following it all the way down to the Shoebury Phoenix unit ahead of us, by nearly a mile. So the sands expose themselves at low tide, making it completely inaccessible for the paddle steamers. Once the pier had reached 1.34 miles long, the paddle steamers could stop not only at any tide, but they could get here in pretty much any weather as well. And that meant that Southend started to flourish. In 1880, Southend Station was then opened. The iron rails reaching out from London made it far quicker and cheaper to travel by train than it was by boat. This resulted in a sharp decline in passenger numbers aboard the paddle steamers, and eventually, one by one, they all closed down. The iron rails eventually stretched out to Margate on the Kent shore, and then this became almost untenable for the paddle steamers. Summer cruising remained popular, but there remained up until 1967 a north-south crossing between Southend Pier and the River Medway, which can be seen on our right-hand side now. The three chimneys to our right, you'll see, is the LNG power station, situated on the Isle of Grain. And the wind turbines are situated on the Isle of Sheppey. Between the two, there is a small break in the land, and that is the entrance of the River Medway that flows in towards Chatham and Rochester. Up at Chatham, we have had the principal base of the Royal Navy ever since AD 1547. Queen Elizabeth I established Chatham as the Royal Naval Base, where man-of-wars would have lined the banks, either under construction or awaiting repairs. In 1588, that fleet was put to its greatest test, setting sail from Chatham, sailing out through the entrance of the Medway into the Thames, around the east coast, down towards the English Channel, to be deployed against the Spanish Armada. They're between the towers, laying on the bottom. The majority of these gantries collapsed in the late 80s, early 90s. But they lay on the bottom, still evident. And occasionally we get a little ping back from our echo sounders to remind us that there is a lot of wreckage between the towers. It's made up of steel girders, ladders. You notice that the only tower that has the original boarding dock, if you will, still partially in place, is the searchlight tower. The ladders taking you up inside the tower through a central portal between all the legs. And then two ladders came down to the boarding dock, where barges would then go alongside, pass pipes up to perhaps fill the fuel tanks. And all the other gun towers, similar barge loading docks existed that allowed you to take boxes of ammunition straight up inside of those towers. We don't recommend anyone try and climb up on any of these towers. I know people have done so in the past, but these are decaying relics of the World War.
Thames could only get ships in with drafts of up to 11 metres. The ships needed to be smaller, if anything, but we needed to make the Thames deeper. And certainly, over the next few years, dredgers were then to start passing up and down the Thames, sucking up all the sand in the deep water channels to try and remove it, make it deeper so these ships can safely navigate up there. The Thames has been subjected to 2 world wars. We've got to remember that mines and bombs were dropped out there. There's most likely unexploded ordnance across the scattering the seabed. So these archaeological surveys, that's what they were looking for, and certainly they did come across some. But what they did carry out was side scan sonar, and for you guys I've managed to pick up some of the side scan images of some of the wrecks that are down here. This wreck here, this is of the SS Letchworth. She sank on the 1st of November 1940, so it was before the Red Sand Towers was even in position. On that night we saw one of the biggest air raids ever here in the Thames. The Germans were flying overhead. They were trying to drop bombs on anything that could float, whether it was a merchant vessel or a naval vessel.
Make our way back towards Southend. We're now approaching an area known as Sea Reach number 4. The red buoy is just there off to our left. We're crossing over that main deep water channel, and the green buoy is on the northern edge of that channel. So every ship that comes in and out of the Thames, they go between these buoys up towards the London Gateway site, which you can just see the container cranes up there in the distance, not at Stamford or home. So part of that survey for the Thames came up abreast of Southend Pier, just here, and they discovered this nice little anomaly sitting on the riverbed. And so they thought they'd best send some divers down to go and have a little look.
When they got down there, they reported back they had a lot of wood down there and some concretions that could resemble cannons. So down divers went and picked up one of these concretions, took it ashore and cleaned it up, and sure enough, it was a cannon, and in fact it had Royal Naval insignia on it. So there was also a date, and this date put it back into the 15th century. The ship itself was then, we did a bit of research, not us here, but certainly the archaeologists. They did a bit of research and they found that there was in fact a ship that sank in the Thames. It was recorded by Samuel Pepys, that famous naval administrator. He wrote about a ship that was on its way to Cliff in Kent to go and resupply with ammunition, and it exploded. The magazine went up, there was a fire on board, and it took 300 souls down to the depths. Photographs on today's tour, and we've had one of the slideshow, so if you fancy, just keep an eye on that one as we progress back towards Southend Pier. Once we're alongside the pier, we'll be disembarking from the right hand side of the road to the front and making our way back up the slipway back to the main deck of the pier. Hold on to that central handrail all the way to the top. No running, no jumping, no skipping, no falling. The company will be dropping you an email, a link through to our TripAdvisor page tomorrow, so if you've enjoyed today's cruise and fancy leaving a few kind words, it'd be greatly appreciated. Particularly these are 5 stars, but if there has been anything of concern, please don't hesitate to flag it with a member of staff prior to them to arrange rooms. She's still steam driven, and I'm sure the captain will be more than happy to tell you tales of what she was up to before, during and after the war. So that's the 16th and 17th of September. Now, obviously if you wish to mention our names in dispatches, my name is Richard, I've been your captain for today, with commentator Glenn upstairs, who safely navigated us all the way down back from the Red Sand Towers. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on board. Thank you for your kind attention. If you wish to show any voluntary appreciation to our efforts as crew, you're more than welcome to do so. We do have a little tip jar just behind and underneath the screen here. Through anything you like, a loose change, box of beer, ladies' telephone numbers, anything you like. Whatever you do throw in is purely voluntary, as was my voluntary, and I hope it's made your journey a little bit more enjoyable, if not entertaining. The next train to leave platform 1, taking you back to the shore side, leaves at 3:15. So you've got a bit of time out here to enjoy yourselves, go and have a bite to eat in one of the cafes, or perhaps even visit the R&I shop. Go inside, go and see the lifeboat that's actually sits on its davits, awaiting in its next call. You can pick up a few little knickknacks, perhaps even your next year's set of Christmas cards. It's a great way to support a charity that goes out to save lives at sea. We may not have needed them today, but they are always there if we are getting into trouble. And yes, I did say the C word. It is only a few months away now, not that I'm counting. It's my next day off. Safe journey home. Thank you for your attention. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't stop.
I'll do one back.